Hey guys, welcome to devops school. In this video tutorial, we are going to learn about Kubernetes. Kubernetes is developed by Google and it is an open source platform that automates container operations. It eliminates many of the manual processes involved in deploying and scaling containerized applications. After going through this tutorial, I promise you that the concept and understanding of the Kubernetes will be absolutely clear to you.
But before that, let me ask you a few things. Are you dreaming of a career with higher pay and more responsibilities? Or are you ready to take your skills to the next level this year? Then start investing in devops certification level courses which will help you to emerge skills for a wide range of entry-level roles and as well as higher potential future positions. But with thousands of courses online and in classroom worldwide, finding the right one for your career goals can be difficult. You can consider our courses like Agile Developer, Agile QA, DevOps Certified Professionals, Site Reliability Engineering, DevSecOps, and Masters in DevOps Engineering, where you will have access to well-structured, easy-to-follow course content that has been developed and will be delivered by industry professionals. You can join on our training programs globally through online platforms, and if you are looking for classroom workshops, then we have regular sessions available in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Delhi NCR, Mumbai, and in Pune. Simply compare our many courses, find the one that suits your style and schedule best, and start today.
Next topic is hPa. So what is hPa stand for? So we call it horizontal pod autoscaler. Okay, so that means horizontally pod can scale, auto scale. So in there was two commands, remember, one scale and auto scale. So if you forgot, let me show you here. kubectl, enter. Here we had a scale and here we had a auto scale. Now auto scale you can work with, we can do with the deployment also, replica sets also, or application controller. Typically we use for the deployments all the time. So now auto scale. So what exactly the requirements, what are the use cases where we can set it up? So let's say you have a deployment, understand this. You have a deployment and you have a 10 pods, okay, 10 pod, 20, whatever it is. Now you say there's a two resources which is being used by pod. One is like CPU, another one is memory. Okay, two resources is being used. Now you want to, because in AWS also auto scaling works on the based on the CPU load or memory load only, right? Most of the time. So that's a auto scaling. So here what we are going to do is the moment what happens, you see average all pod CPU or memory, okay, or memory is more than a threshold which you set, more than the threshold sold, then have it increase a range between, let's say 5 to 20, something like that. So what is happening, initial set, let's make it 10, so 10 to 20. So initially you set at 10, okay. Now what you did, you want to see that if the load, let's say there's a today's Amazon sales is going on and suddenly there's a huge load which you'll get on the website. Have you seen that today Amazon.com was Amazon.in was down actually in the morning sometime? Have you seen this? None, any of you have noticed? No? Actually it was down for half an hour. Yeah, it was down for half an hour. In fact, I was surprised. So they were not accepting any load actually. So maybe that lots of people were doing transactions and stuff like that. So it's like that. So here horizontal pod autoscalers is doing something like that. If your pods has an average, I said average on all pod, okay, of your deployment. If CPU or memory or both, is more than the threshold, you can go up and go down also. So that is the kind of hPa. Now the question is, who will monitor? Now here the monitoring comes into the picture. In AWS, who's monitoring services? Anyone has idea? In
CloudWatch.
AWS,
CloudWatch.
CloudWatch, which works with the auto scaling group, right? So here the monitoring was Heapster. Yeah, it was a Heapster which was doing the monitoring in Kubernetes. Now this is one of the open source product. You can deploy it. This is the EOL. EOL means end of life. That means this product got retired. So now the question is, it was till 6 months before we were using this one, but now which we can use. Okay, so now they replaced Heapster. Let me have a how to monitor and aggregate pods, basically containers, to be honest, containers, CPU and memory. Okay, that's the question. It was earlier Heapsters. Now they migrated to metrics services, metrics server. Okay, so what is a metrics server? Let's look at this. Here, see, metrics server. They're saying for basic CPU and memory, hPa metrics use metrics server. Okay, and for the general monitoring, you can use Prometheus operator with the node exporter and this, that, and all. Now here for event, you can use event transfer, you can use event router. So these are the three products. Now we are using this one for hPa. Okay, so metrics server. Now we are on metrics server. So first thing, in your cluster you have to install metrics server. You have an official page here. You can just go and read more about it. But right now I'm not in a mood of reading, but rather than I will install it. Now the question is, how do I install? So there's one YAML file, I'll get it, and that YAML file is here. Okay, here. Okay, look at this here. They are available as component.yaml, a set of metadata, making it available via the URL. The same URL, the same file, you can find somewhere inside this component. What is the location? Releases, download. This is the location. So here it is. So now I'll just go and run this. I'm running on behalf of you because we have only one, so that's okay for all of us. I just run it. Okay, now you see here, interesting thing, if you see the output, it created one cluster role binding. Some of the API service registrations also did. This is service account, deployment, service, cluster role binding. What exactly these are? So we need to understand this or in RBAC. Okay, so we'll understand this in RBAC. Okay, so yep, I got it here. So can I see that here? kubectl get pod -n is equal to kube systems. And did we get this? So see here, metrics server. Here it is, metrics server. Now this is your monitoring services. Okay, so far we got it. Did you understand this so far?
Yes.
Guys, now what we have to do, how to run a deployment with what? Threshold, and run use applications more than threshold, then scale, less than threshold. What do we call? Scale up, scale down.
Nice.
Scale up, scale down. Okay, so this is the something which we have to do. Now what I am going to do, I'm going to use one of the official page itself that has a very good explanation, and that is this one. So I'm putting in the URL itself and you're going to try it out. And one more request, guys, those who is creating anything new, please clean up also, so that way we will keep using the new resources again and again. So here I'll click here. Okay, this is the hPa in complete example. So now what we need one application, one image basically, which can create some load automatically, which CPU load, memory load on something like that, which can create. Now typically you will have that application and user will hit on that application and automatically it will create a load, but because of the demo we have to create a load manually. So now we have to create one image. So this is the Docker file. You have to build this Docker file, okay, and then you get an image. Now in this Docker file there is one index.html. This is a, by the way, PHP Apache, okay, it's a PHP stick. In this index.html, what you have, look at this, very simple code. You are having one variable set here, you are running this many times, it's a loop, okay, this many times, and every time you run you square root, so that always it keep increasing that, and here it's the x plus this operator, okay, so it always keep adding that, so that way it always slowly create the load on your CPU, okay, and RAM, because competition operation is there, always it will do the more square root for the larger number, it will create a more CPU, it will create a load of burden on CPU and RAM to process it. That's all. This is simple code. Now you have to build this image and get the work done. By the way, this image is already there, but not in the hub.docker.com, is there in the registry, Google registry. So where is that image? Now let's look at this. Let's understand this code. Very simple code. I'll explain you. First, let's understand this one. It's a deployment. I think I don't have to explain it to you. You know that very well. Now deployment has this image. This image has the same logic which I have talked about it. This logic. Okay. Here now container is running on 80 port. It's just a simple web application. But this is important here. What is this? So here you have a resource limit. Look at this here, the specification. pod.spec.containers.resources.limit. Yes. So basically you can set these limits of the resources at the container level, not a pod level, because container has application, not a pod has applications. Remember. So you can set this limit at the container level. But the question is, what is a limit and what is a request? You need to understand this. So request means, understand that request means, do you remember that who assigned the pod to node? Anyone remember that?
The console manager?
Scheduler is the one.
Scheduler, yes, scheduler. So here if you type a scheduler, okay, then when you write a CPU 200M, that means scheduler will make sure that this pod will get created, this pod will get created only and only if the node has a this much of minimum free available. Okay, that means 200M is required. Request is advanced request we are making of a node. This way you can make sure that those, it can be more also, but right now it's just a 200M. Okay, so it's a CPU one. Okay, so here you are saying this scheduler should read this number and should assign to that only the node which has a 200M available, because scheduler knows everything. It has a multiple controllers which keep reporting about the health of the nodes. Now here what is a limit means? Limit means you can use only up to the 500M maximum. That means if you use more than that, you will be terminated. Okay, so in that particular node you can use only maximum of 500 amps, something like that. Okay, so now it got created. Now this is a typical service. You see that this is a typical service. Okay, it's a YAML and selector run PHP Apache, and here you see it's labeled with PHP Apache here. Okay, see here, label matches. So this is the one. So are you comfortable with this code? Can we move on?
Yes.
Yes. What unit is EMS for CPU? Megahertz or what?
So this is a little bit of calculations we needed actually. So for that there is a lots of tutorials on that, but you can see millicore algorithm is here. So I'm putting up here for reading purpose. So how it works and all, megahertz, millicore, whatever it is, how it works. You have to read a little bit of this. By the way, on the Google you will also find many things actually. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so now this is I am putting up in the hPa. So I'll go ahead here, clear the screen, mkdir hPa cd hPa, and here vi dep.yaml, dep and hyphen service also is there, svc.yaml, and done. Now kubectl get pods hyphen n is equal to Rajesh, and here I should delete deploy. The one of the deploy is mydep1, and another one is in the next deployment hyphen n is equal to Rajesh. Okay, so now this is okay. I'll clean up the rest of the things later. So dep svc, so kubectl create hyphen f hyphen n is equal to Rajesh, and I created, and get pod. So now this is the application which is running, which is creating, and it's a new image, so it will just download in the node. Done. So this application is running right now. This is the one of the PHP application, one single simple image. Now that is done. Now what you have to do is you have to, and services also got created, so you mindful about it. Now what you have to do, you have to run this command. Now let me help you to understand this command. What is this? This is saying, because the deployment here, the deployment is PHP Apache here. So auto scale, but what deployment? What deployment? PHP Apache. Here you are saying CPU percent 50%. What is the CPU percent 50%? That means, understand that if average whatever that request which you have of the 50%, that means you are requesting 200 M. Okay, you are requesting 200 M, out of which if it reaches the 50%, that is 100 M. Okay, if it exceeded, then it should be in the range of 1 and 10. But that means the moment it exceeded a 50%, then it should go keep going up to the 10. Okay, that is up to 1 to 10. So minimum is starting with 1 and maximum is starting with a 10. Okay, did you understand this?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I am creating this.
I have one question here. Now API version is 1, auto scaling has version 2. How do we specify which version that it should take?
Where?
So in all our YAML, when we create it, we call it as version 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
For auto scaling, we have a version 2. If you look at the API version, so how do we define?
You will have hPa version 1 also, but do you remember this one? Get kubectl get version.
Yeah.
So you'll give you all this. Yeah.
Correct. So how do you define now? Now auto scaling, will it run on V1 or V2?
Okay, so this one is in beta. This will take V1, most stable one. But if you want to try it out, you have to specify manually in the YAML file. or edit that after the creation, you can do that probably.
Okay.
By the way, one more thing is there. There's one more command is there which will help you to convert it. Can you help me to find that command?
There is a convert there.
The convert command.
Yes. Did you find it?
Troubleshooting.
Yes.
See here. So if you have older version, older version, then you can convert to the later version also. Okay. Okay. So I was talking about hPa. Okay. So I'm running hPa right now and running in I forgot which namespace I run it. It's Rajesh only. So here kubectl get hPa. There's no in Rajesh. Okay, and now I'll run it -n is equal to Rajesh. Okay, now if I created here is Rajesh, and see here target is 50%, minimum pods is 1, maximum pods is 10, replicas as of now is 0, it will take some time, and then 4 seconds. Okay, so right now this is the status, this is the right status what you have. Total 1 pod is there out of 10, maximum is 10, total 1 pod is there. The pod is already created by the deployment. See here, this is the deployment, I created that pod. Okay, so now how do you create a relationship here? So here you have to say deployment PHP Apache. This is the way relationship got created. So now we set up the hPa. Now let me tell you, metric server is enabled, installed. So already they are managing, they are gathering the CPU and RAM of all the pods, and they are aggregating it also by the deployment controller or application controller or like that. Let me tell you one more thing. If you want to expose that metric server the data to somewhere else, let's say typically we store in the this guy Prometheus server. So if you want to store it, there is a metric server exporter is also available, so you can do that. Okay, so yep, this is the stuff. So now I have to do the load on the pod, because if I'm not doing the load, then it will not tell me what exactly the utilizations are. So let's move on and let's create a load. So here I got this here. Now let's create a load. So for that, what you have to do is, this is the way to create a load. Look at this, I'll tell you the logic first. Here what you are doing, you are creating a run. So now the question is, what is a run command? So guys, do you remember that run, docker run?
Become start.
Yeah. So they will create, start and become, correct? So it's like this. So when you run, then you will also not only create the pod and container, but also you become that one. So sometimes it's very handy tool for the troubleshooting and all. So what you are doing here is, you are temporary. See here, you have to understand. Do you know what is this?
Yep. Interactive, and it will delete itself upon finishing.
Wonderful. Yes. So what will happen? It will do interactive, which you know that, with what? Bin sh. Okay. Which image? This image, bg box. Okay. And it will also okay. It will also and name of this is load generator. Now it will also give you the prompt, and after that prompt you have to type this code. Now you see here this code, while true, that means it's a endless loop. Actually endless loop, it will get removed, but actually as long as you are running, this is the endless loop. And where you are hitting, do wget query to this URL. URL is php Apache. php Apache is your service name. Where is that? Here it is. Look at it. So service name, and then done. So endless loop, you can kill manually, but right now not interested. So here, go and create a load on this. So this is done. Don't think it got hung. Many people get confused saying that it's got hung. No, it's a shell. Okay, and now you got a shell. Run this command and bad address. Why it's bad address? Okay, any idea what mistake I did?
You're lacking a service to do routing?
No, something
Running
else.
from the
Should we need to
workstation
put
rather than the node.
No. I made a mistake. I run in the default where this service is available in the
Namespace, yeah.
Rajesh.
namespace we have to?
Be mindful about it. Okay. So here -n Rajesh. Okay. I won't bother about that because that pod got deleted also. Done. Now I'm running. Okay, now you see endless loop. It will generate endless load on that. So I should have opened up a new console, but not a problem. CentOS, and then I will write this command, get hpa. Why this copy is not working? Got stuck. Get hpa. Look at this here. Oh, sorry, get hp-n. Never forget. Even I forget many times because I have a habit of storing that my namespace in the config file only. Okay, so just wait for it. Okay, now replica is this one, and slowly it will increase. -n is equal to Rajesh. Still it's available one. Replicas one. You have to keep wait for that some time. Okay, so here if the see here the consumptions also you can see here hpa right now 50% unknown. So right now it's unknown. Why it's unknown? It should metric server is not running or what? We'll have to check. Should come.
How do you check the metrics are getting collected?
Yeah, so I installed it, so it didn't show me error. So let me check if something missed out. So actually load is being created for sure, but this trigger is not active. I mean metric server is not activated. It should show me something like this. So I think I have to check the metric server once again. So go back, and I deployed already. Let me try one more time. I did actually. Still it's running. Let me wait for a second. Unchange. That's deployed only. I don't have to do anything. Let me pause the recording.
This conference will now be recorded.
Now I'm downloading this file. And let's do this. So insecure you have to enable. So I'm doing that for you. Component.xml YML component.yaml and go for option which is called this one. arguments. Okay, save it. Now I'm going to delete the last one, which is here. Delete and kubectl apply -f. What is this error? Okay, just a second.
If you liked our Kubernetes session so far, please enroll for our channel membership 399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Open the spec template spec.container. Just a second, give me guys 2 seconds. There's some changes has happened in the new version. So older version was having non-TLS with this one. So now kubectl edit deploy metric server n is equal to kube hyphen system, and I have to go to this line spec.template.spec.container spec.template.spec.container. So selector spec.container, after that containers, after that arguments, you have to add this. Oh, last time I probably made the wrong entry. I just added hyphen hyphen, whereas it should be in this format. Okay, so this should be ignored.
So for clarity, this is basically making communication unsecure.
Yes, and hopefully now it should be okay. kubectl get ports hyphen n is equal to Rajesh. Sorry, kube system. Kube systems kube hyphen system. So now it's running. Let's check the hPa now. hPa here. Now hopefully it should be fixing that because I did as it was. Still it's not there. What is this? spec.containers arguments spec.container the same level that we're add okay, let's use the older version. I think we'll fix it this one later. Older version, probably it will do the things. So I'm deleting this new version. I'll find the alternatives in peaceful time, and then I'll fix that. Okay, so this one is 3.7. Now we will do that in 3.6. So here remove this new version component vi component, and here deployment containers arguments. Wait a second, let me see. 88. So I need to copy and done. Okay, so this is I am doing, saving it. kubectl apply -f components is done. So far so good. Now hPa, now it's got it. So with the latest version, which happen every month almost, actually I'll just check what is the workaround to fix that for the non HTTPS based URL, and then I'll get going. Okay, so now it is a 50%, and look at this here, replicas got increased to 5. Did you see that?
Yep.
So yep, this is hPa. So basically probably you don't have to waste too much of time, just you have to install metric server properly, make sure that's listening, and then create a load automatically based on your number and based on your CPU percentage, it will do that. So this is the something which is called hPa. Did you all understood this?
Yep.
Okay guys, let's move on to one more object which I'm going to talk about, and that is RBAC. Okay, so RBAC authentication and authorization. So here, any questions before authentication and authorization?
It's not related to this right now. I was wondering if we have an application that needs to stay, some of the applications that we have, especially the older ones, have like a shutdown process or something like that, which is not just kill the process and that's it. Usually they have to finish with what they were doing or before killing them out. Is there a way to control how pods are terminated?
So you are saying there are some pods which you need to run in for the shorter duration, and that pod.
Basically, imagine a process. That process is doing a certain task. If for some reason that pod has to be terminated, like it's going to be allocated to a different location or something like that, or a configuration change happened, I cannot just have it killed immediately and raised up in another location. It's not a proper microservice. Okay, so it may need to finish doing whatever it was doing or something like that. So the question is there some way to control the way pods are terminated so that, for example, I can make it wait until the process has finished whatever it was doing before terminating it and creating the new one?
Yes, that can be possible, and that is the topic which I'm going to talk about in observability. That means pods will have, where is that? Somewhere I had written actually. Observability. So pods will have many rules which either maybe you can select the node or you can select the other pod. You can wait for that pod. You can wait for some task to be completed and then run it. So lots of things will be there as part of this. Tolerance will be there. So lots of things will be there as part of the observability. I'll talk about it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk about authentication and authorization. So guys, there's the two things. First thing is, how can we authenticate Kubernetes? Authenticate Kubernetes. That is the first thing. So there are many ways in which you can authenticate. For example, you can use password, you can use token, you can use certificates, you can use LDAP, right? Many ways you can authenticate. All these authentication methods are available. Kubernetes authentication. Okay, so here if you see authenticating Kubernetes, so all these possible options which is available at this place. So if you look at this here, you can authenticate through certificate, which is this one. You can authenticate through token also. You can authenticate through password also. You can authenticate through OpenID also. So OpenID is also possible. You can authenticate through see here, this OpenID is still webhooks also. So you can authenticate through. So these are so many authentication method is available. Again, keep going down, and there's an authentication proxy also. Okay, and many more anonymous requests and stuff like that. Okay, so many ways in which you can authenticate to the Kubernetes. LDAP is also there, but here it is, which is a part of proxy, authentication proxy. Okay, or webhook. Okay, so this is also available. Okay, so last two which can help you with the LDAP also. LDAP, SAML, Kivros, and stuff like that. So many ways to authenticate, out of which method we are using for authentication for time being. We all use certificates. Okay, certificates and user based certificate, user and certificate. Before understanding this method, you need to understand the certificate, how this certificate 509 certificate authentication works. So anyone has an idea about this? Anyone would like to share some information about on that, how this certification works?
I assume it's basically a client certificate that you can use to embed on your kubectl to configure your access to the API server.
Yeah, something like that. So let me put it up in the flow diagram, so probably it will be clear for everyone. I think some of you already know that, so may not be a new topic, but it's like this. Here, understand that this is a Kubernetes. Okay, This is a Kubernetes, and I am talking about the external authentication. Internally also they do the authentication through two way. One is a certificate, another one is token. One of the token which I have already shown you in the pod has a volume attached token, secret token. That is one of the way to authenticate also. Token, bootstrapping token and all, that's a way to authenticate. A node you add that when you join, that's a token to authenticate. So many ways to authenticate actually, but right now I'm talking about us, me, you should get authentication. So typically we do the through certificate. So now here what we have in the cluster, we have a master. Now master act like a CA. What is the CA stand for? CA stand for
Certificate authority.
Yeah, certificate authority. That means a master itself is a CA. Okay, you can create any machine as a CA authority. There's some software, there's some commands. Using that you can do that. So now this certificate, this master is a certificate authorization places. Okay, that means any certificate which you want, using that certificate you want to log in to this master, that should be certified by the CA. If that is not certified by the CA, then you will not be able to access it. Simple rule. That means this API server is enabled with the certificate authority by default. Yes, you can change that also, but right now I'm not talking about anything as such. I'm talking about the default which is production ready. Okay, so this is the by default enabled with the certificate authorization. So that guy will act like a CA. Now what you need to do, this is my laptop. Okay, this is my laptop and this is me. Okay, now I want to get access. First access, then authorization. Authentication first, then authorization. So what I will do, I will generate one key pair. Now when we generate a key pair in your laptop, what you get? What you get? Guys,
Self-signed key.
You get a public key and private key, right? And one private key, right? When you generate a key pair, you get a public, right, PB, and private, PT. Okay, so now what you need to do, PT you never ever share with anyone in the world, never ever share, they never share. But what you do, using the key, okay, using the private key, you generate, understand that, one CSR file. Now what is a CSR file? What is a CSR file, guys? What is
The
CSR?
request, the certificate signing request.
Yeah, certificate signing request. So to generate a public and private key, you have a one command. For creating a CSR file, you have a one command. Okay, I'll show you in the demo. First understand the process. So I generated a CSR. Now this I did this. Now CSR file I will give it to the administrator. So who's administrator? This guy is administrator of Kubernetes. Okay, this guy is administrator. So I'll send this through email or through n number of ways. I will send this CSR to this guy. Now this guy has a two method. Understand that. This guy has a two method. One is a manual, one is automatic. One is manual method and another one is automatic. Okay, so I'm talking about the manual, so an automatic you will understand is just a command actually. So first I'm talking about the manual process. In the manual process, what happened, this CSR, this admin runs in the master machine with the help of the CA file, CA authority file, and they generate, see here, I'm putting up this, you run in the CA file and then generate the output which is called certificate client, cert file basically. Okay, cert file. This certificate file which is allowed to access, understand that, this certificate file which is allowed to access on API server for 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 that particular user. Now this certificate file admin send to the user Now you have a key and you have a certificate. This key and certificate both is being used to authenticate the Kubernetes. Guys, is that clear for everyone?
Right.
Yes. Now, this was a manual process here. There is one resources also for approving the certificate file. Okay, but I'm not able to recall it. So can you help me here? A kubectl API resources. Okay, so API resources. So can you help me? Which one is there? Anyone?
Certificate signing requests.
Yes, CSR. So this is the command you can also pass to generate a thing. So this is also automated way. Okay, so now I will show you the manual way, so that way you get a more confidence. Now the question is, before that I want to show you these two files which I got it when I set up a cluster. Okay, so here I have to go more .kube config. Go to the user part, guys. This is the client certificate data which is received from the CA authority, and this is the client key data which is my private key. Okay, so both are this one. But by the way, this is a very long one, but you can keep it in a file also, separate file. Okay, so this is the one. I need this one to authenticate. Without that, you'll not be able to authenticate. So now guys, let's get started. So what do we do in this case? Now I need to have all these commands. So let me try my blocks. RBAC. Search is not coming here. RBAC. Ubuntu. So this is here. This is so much of content. Okay, so let me use my notes itself. So there's a few commands only, not too much. So guys, I'm doing it now. So look at my screen, please. So here, users and certificate. So I'm doing this certificate. So first thing, let me follow this, and I'll share all this command with you also, so you can do that. So there is one namespace which I am having right now, Rajesh. So I will not create a namespace which I have already. So guys, you do in your directory, so that way we will not fight with each other. Okay, so here I'll create mkdir auth cd auth. Okay, now how do we generate a key? So I'm generating a key using OpenSSL. This is the command OpenSSL generate RSA key. So I generated a key. This is the private key. Okay, this is the private key. Now what I'm going to do, using this key, I'm going to generate a CSR file. So here, this is the command you have to. First, let's understand this command. So see here, OpenSSL request for what? Request for new what? Out CSR file from the input employee dot. Okay. Now after that you have to understand this one. This one you have to understand. What is CN? So CN, out of which CN is means username. Employee here is a username, and O means what? Group name. Okay. So this is the way you create a CSR file. So you have to use the group name and username. So here employee CN is the employee name. O means group name. Bitnami is a group name. So understand that. Enter. So here you see you got a CSR file here, employee.csr file. Now after this, your work is done. After that, you CSR file, this you'll send. Don't give it this one to anyone. CSR file you send to administrator, and he will do what? He will generate the certificate file. So now as an admin you have to run this command. Now let me explain you. Understanding is important. So let me explain you here. So here you are doing what? You have employee.csr, this certificate input. Now where is the authority? CA authority. So this is the default location for the CA authority. You can check this file also. This is a CA file, and for the CA authority file is here, and CA key is here. Now this is a most confidential information. Anyone can have it in the Kubernetes cluster. If this get compromised, entire cluster is at the risk. Okay. So forget about authentication authorization, because CA, this is a CA file. Now what you are doing, you are generating using your authority file and secret file, you are approving this CSR request and generating a CRT file, certificate file, now which is valid for 500 days. Okay. So this access will be valid for 500 days. Guys, did you understand this?
Yeah.
Okay. So here I am running this command. Whereas employee.crt is in my current location. Okay. I want to store it. So here copy, done. See here, there is a problem here. There is a problem. It's did not get success. There is an error. So what is the error? I'm a CentOS. I cannot read that file. Permission denied. So what should I do is sudo. I have to use the sudo and then do that. So sudo and copy this one, and I got this key. Now guys, this CRT file and this key file, that is what you need. Now admin will send this CRT file back to the user, and after that user will happily use this two combination employee key and cert in the config file to authenticate Kubernetes cluster. Guys, did you understand this?
So number of things. kubectl needs to use a dir or pim or pem encoded one.
So kubectl config file has to be modified with this data. Now I'll do that. Did I answer your question?
I was asking mostly about compatibility. Like this is a PEM certificate. If I'm using a dir one, it will be accepted, or only their format? Which kind of formats it accepts, basically?
Okay, this is the algorithm which is So RSA, those the one which you are talking about, RSS keygen and all, keygen hyphen RSS keygen. So that will no, just again SSH hyphen keygen. If you generate a public private key using this one, this will not be accepted. So the format of this, it should be enabled with the X509 specification, which is OpenSSL can do that here.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I was talking. Yeah. So here this certificate I have got it. So now what next you have to do? Let me close this. So what next you have to do? Now you have to set in the config file. How do we set the config file? So let me show you, explain you that command, and it's very easy to do that, not very difficult. So this is the next command. What you have to do? Config is a command. You can do hell lot of thing. Okay, hell lot of thing, which is I have not covered because of I was waiting for this config. I don't know rest of the things. -h. See here what you can do. Understand that. Remember the first day session itself. I think we discussed config context. We said context. We said cluster. We said user. Right. So here you can set the. You can see the all the current context. All, not all, one current context. You can delete the cluster also, delete the context also. You can get the cluster also, get the context also. You can rename the context also. You can set the context, set the cluster, set the context, set the credential, means user, unset it also, and use context and view. Everything you have a command for it. Yes, you don't have to modify manually, because that if you try, I tried many times, but I always got frustrated by modifying this one line here and there, and then it got not working, because it has the client key has to be without a line. It should be a single line. Sometimes you will never you try harder, but still you will not make it. So you should use the all the command lines only. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do is, I'm nothing doing great. I am setting up, see here, I'm setting the credential only, because cluster I don't want to set, because I don't have too many cluster, only one cluster is there. I can only set the user and context, because user I get new, and context I have to create a new. So here I'm setting up the user set credential. Now what is the name of the set credential? The employees. Okay, I'm setting up, but where is the certificate file which you are trying to use it? So I'm trying to use the certificate file from the employee.crt, which is my location. As per my location is TWD, this one. Okay, so here now let me tell you, this will be absolute path, because whatever the path you will put it will bind it to the same path. So it has to be absolute path. It's pretty long, but nothing. This is the CRD file, and this is the employee key. So here, yeah. So I'm setting up the user. Before that, I would like to show you how many users we have it. So let's use this config view, and you see here, this is the small file, because the data they got omitted, actually redacted. So you see here, this is the one cluster, one context right now, current context, this is the one user. So after this command I should see two user. So can we run this command? Enter. I copied actually. So clear the screen. I did so, and then can we see that? See here. Now earlier we had a one user only, Kubernetes -admin. Now we got another user. This time that we did not embed the client key and certificates. Okay, we just calling it. So that is a good practice also, but it's very difficult to share. If you want to share this file with someone else, then you have to share this three files together. This one, and config. Guys, are you understanding this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this we set the one user. Now what you have to do? You have to set one context. Okay, not a current context. You have to set the context. So here you see config set context. But what is the name of the context? Employee context. Which cluster? Of course, I have only one cluster, so forget about this. But which namespace? So here, guys, typically I do this one. I set it up my namespace here only, so you don't have to use it for that particular user. So yes, for that particular context. So what are you going to do? You are going to set the namespace here, Rajesh. Okay, and you are setting up the namespace here, Rajesh, and then user employee. Username is employee and group name is bitnami. Remember that. So here I am assigning the user. So let me add this context. If you're not understanding, please stop me. Now I did this view. Now guys, look at this here. I got the another context. This is the one context. This is for the setting for the this context only you can query with the Rajesh automatically by default. That means for this context, the context name is this one. The by default is not a default, it's a Rajesh. Okay, understand that. So this is the way you set the context. Now how do we query? So now you run this query. I think you will get this understanding of this command very well. You'll not struggle. You see here kubectl context. The name of the context is this one. So here you can set in the remember you can set the current context also, which I don't want to change it because I have lots of demo to be pending. So I don't want to change the current context, but you can set the context on the command line also if you don't want to use the current context. Okay, and then what do you want to command? You get pods. Okay, so here if you do the get pods and -n, -n also you don't have to write because for this context the namespace is already set. So can we run this, guys? Did you understand this command?
Yep.
Okay, so now I am writing here. See here, can you please read the error? See, error from server forbidden. Ports is forbidden. User employee cannot list resources pod in API group in the namespace called Rajesh. So I got access, authenticated, done, but authorization is a problem. Authorization is a problem, and here I did this one, and you see here, I mean it's the same command, sorry, same command, and then get it done. So guys, this is all about authentication, which I discussed about certificate based. Did you understand this, everyone?
Yep.
Yes, Rajesh.
Okay, so now before talking about the RBAC, which is again, so using this I only talk about the only one API resources, that was CSR resources, which I did it manually, by the way, but you can also try that using that one also, that works. Okay, so far what I discussed is I discussed hPa, and I installed it, and that rest of the things you have to do. And after that I created authentication. Now authorization will be done by RBAC, ABAC. Multiple solutions are there. ABAC is there, RBAC is there. RBAC is a production ready. Everyone is using the production, which I'll talk about in next topic. So I'll let you do this. Okay, and I'm updating the notes. So where is that notes? Here it is. So day 4. Okay guys, go ahead. After that I'll talk about the RBAC.
Quick question.
Thanks for watching. If you liked our Kubernetes session so far, please enroll for our channel membership $399 plan to get access of all the parts. Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devops.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely.
Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest.
Thanks for watching.